Well, good evening. Do you believe, like me, that there is no company, no individual in the whole world that doesn't want to have more sales? We all want to have more sales in our life. We want to have the ability to sell more, sell better, sell more effectively. But you most likely also know people who are struggling in selling their services, struggling to sell their products, can't quite relate to people. And we do all know, hey, if you are on LinkedIn, we all do know the situations of hardcore selling, connecting with somebody and they instantly want to sell something with us. So in tonight's session, because you are here in the Mind Mastery Show, you are going to get insights on what it takes that you too can level up your sales to the next level. You will learn how to accelerate your sales, manage objections, and create a values-based sales approach. I welcome you to the Mind Mastery Show, where I bring you those people who are the masters in understanding the mind, who deep dive down understanding how other people function, how to become deep relationship builder and still be authentic by themselves. And as I'm creating, if I'm giving you, or if we are, David and I, giving you great insights, if I may ask you to do the following. First of all, type in the comment chat always, if you are live here, type @live, #live, or if you are on a replay. Secondly, and I have to figure out where all my little thing is, ask questions in the comments, because a session is also about you, which means that if you have a question, we are going to answer it to you personally. Thirdly, of course, you want to invite your friends here, your colleagues, your connections over here, because everybody wants to sell more. So it's useful for them to also get to know this video and, well, yes, in the session and participate and join. Not everybody knows each other, of course, in my audiences here. So if you don't know each other, connect with each other. Build something powerful, something awesome, shape the world in a better world. Lastly, if you get an insight in that session, if you have a breakthrough or a deep insight, type in the comment @breakthrough, #breakthrough or #insight, because that would be awesome. Then we can all celebrate it together. So what I want to share with you as an intro into that session, what we are doing here right now, give me a few moments to introduce myself to you, because not everybody knows me. My name is Andreas. I'm a German living here in Malaysia since a long time ago already, okay? I thrive personally and professionally. I thrive on helping people to get unstuck, gain clarity in their mind, help them remove negative emotions and limiting beliefs so they can create the life they desire and deserve to have. How do we do this in my company, Asia Mind Dynamics? It is when we are helping people in our NLP, practitioner training in Asia Mind Dynamics, to work with them, to create their goals and help them to remove all those negative stuff that is holding them back. So that's what we are doing. So I want to, in a moment, I'm going to ask David onto stage here, so to speak, and when I'm doing it, then I want you to give him a roaring applause with lots of likes and hearts and whatever it is, because he's traveling all the way from the UK here to Malaysia virtually to be here. So give me a few moments to call him on stage, and as we are doing it, get ready for an awesome session. So allow me to share a couple of things about David. First of all, David, of course, he's from the UK, as you most likely have realized already. He is, let me share something. I got to know him first, and he doesn't even know that, okay? When I became a trainer of NLP way back in 2005, I listened to audio tapes recording from the trainer session that was given to us, and David had at least one module that totally blew me away about business in NLP. How do you run an NLP training company? And I loved it. At that point of time, David, you don't know that. At that point of time, I decided that one day I'm going to meet you. And then when COVID hit last year, I do know that David did tons of Facebook Live sessions. I was one of the avid listeners as well, listening to his Facebook Live sessions. I loved it totally. He is an awesome guy, and it's really, really nice here. That handsome smile that you see here right now. David is a great guy, sharing a lot of knowledge. He created countless training programs in his career, formalized the performance partner personal breakthroughs process that some master practitioners experience in my training, of course, as well, integrated it into the NLP Master Practitioner Certification. So that is every delegate coming to Master Practitioner training from AB NLP got to go through a personal breakthrough session. He's also very essential in developing the NLP coach training for AB NLP, which I'm also certified as an NLP coach trainer. So he is a really, really awesome guy and active in many, many areas. He presented NLP and timeline therapy to Prince Charles, as far as Prince Charles as well, to help the veterans coming back from Afghanistan to get rid of their PTSD. He shared the story with me. It was really, really awesome. But throughout his life, and here we are getting to the topic of tonight, throughout his life, he was fascinated with sales. So what he was doing is, basically speaking, I'm reading a little bit from myself here, he worked with the most successful salespeople in his times in financial consulting, recruitment, and IT. And one of his delegates even made it into the Guinness Book of Record for selling the biggest life insurance policy in the world. And as well as speaking and training, David works with carefully selected private clients, implementing carefully tailored training programs. He has enabled clients to increase their personal net worth by up to 9 figures. I don't even know how to count 9 figures up here right now, okay? Increasing profits by 500% and helping them in their personal lives to be comfortable with whom they are and with their successes. He worked with athletes, performers, artists, entrepreneurs, politicians, business people, enabling them to change their own games. Well, that's enough from my side here right now. I want you to give him a roaring shout out, because in a moment, let me just give him an air. Where is my... Okay, I don't know where that is. I wanted to give him a good applause as I'm coming in on it. So, okay, welcome David, welcome David, welcome David. How is it going on your side?
Very well, thank you, Andreas. Very well. So good evening to you. And also might be good morning, good afternoon, good evening for all of our attendees, because I don't really know where they all are.
There are many of them are actually in, I think, type down in the comments where you are from right now. If you're from Malaysia, maybe some of you are tuning in from the UK. I do know some people, Sophia, where are you coming from right now? Which place you are from? Malaysia, most likely, the most of you. UK, Europe, US, Indonesia, Singapore. Please type it in so we do know that. So we have here so far what I can see. Give me a second, David. We got Dr. Nurul here. We got Sean here. We got Ty here. He's an Excel strategist. Renee, who is an insurance for life planner. Marissa is here. Vivian is here. Ty again. Nisha is here. Teacher Keen is here. Pauline is here. We got a lot of people, trainers and coaches, and from the insurance financial industry. Jeffrey is here. Jacqueline is here. She's in numeric profiling. Tungo Rosita is here. She's in women empowerment. I've got something for you afterwards. Vivian again. So many is scrolling. Bunjin is here. Harry is here. Sandeep is here. I think Sandeep, you're from India, I think. Nisha is here. Angela is somebody from the UK. You might want to get in touch with her because she's organizing an awesome conference next year. Nina is here, Shiroy is here. Oh, it's scrolling and scrolling. Darren is here, Zaiv is here. And if I forgot some of you, my apologies. So David, now you know who everybody who is here.
Great.
So, yeah, so how is it going? How did you end up in NLP? I'm always curious about people. How did they end up in NLP? And what is NLP actually? Because not everybody knows NLP.
Okay, so NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And it's a set of techniques to do anything that you do better and more successfully. And I first came across NLP in 1990. I'd bought a franchise for a management consultancy firm. And there was a training course on becoming a management consultant. And on one of those days, they talked about NLP in sales. That's how I first came across NLP. And I was fascinated by it because I was terrible at sales. So I needed to learn how to do this thing. So I went up to the trainer and said, where can I find out more about this NLP thing? And he said, well, there's only one place, only one book that I know of, which was Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. So in 1990, I bought Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins, devoured it, absolutely loved it. And over the coming year or so, I decided that I didn't want to do management consultancy. What I wanted to do was NLP. But I had to make some money to be able to, that's my earphones just fallen out.
Fine.
I had to make some money to be able to afford the training, because I'd decided by then that I was going to travel all the way to the US and train with somebody who became a mentor and a very good friend of mine, Dr. Tat James. So I thought, how can I make some money fast? So what I had started doing was cold calling life insurance companies to ask them if I could go and do some free training for their life insurance salespeople in some basic NLP techniques. And the majority of the people I contacted said, yeah, that would be great. And then some of those companies then said, actually, we'd like you to come in and train more of our people in NLP and sales, for which we'll pay you. So that's really how I kind of brought the money in to travel to the US to do my practitioner training. But Andreas, I'm sure you had the same experience. By the time I got to my practitioner training, just being a practitioner wasn't enough because I wanted to teach other people in this, which meant I got to do master practitioner, meant I got to do the trainer's training, and ultimately I got to do the master trainer program. So in May 1993 was when I did my practitioner training, and came back straight away and started doing work with private clients one-to-one, started running public seminars, but also started doing corporate training as well. And I've now been doing that for over 28 years.
Wow, that's an amazing story, actually. Tell me about a situation, actually, when you messed up something and some NLP skill helped you to get out of the trouble. It's a dangerous question to ask here, isn't it?
It is a dangerous question to ask. Thanks very much for that.
We have you on camera and recording here, okay?
Well,
the blackmailing alert.
Yes, okay. So I won't say when it was or where it was, but I was in my car. I'd just done a seminar. I got a friend of mine with me in the car. It was a gorgeous summer's evening. The roads were really, really quiet. So I decided to kind of put my foot down to the point where I was, let's say, significantly breaking the speed limit.
Okay.
And unbeknown to me, I actually raced away from the traffic lights against a plain, unmarked police car,
All right.
who then proceeded to pull me over. And, so I got out of the car, left my friend in the car, and went round the back of the car. And the policeman said, okay, do you know why I pulled you over? And I said, was I going a bit fast? And he said, a bit fast. You were going significantly over the speed limit. I won't say how much it was. But he said, we've got it on video. It's an instant ban. You'll be banned from driving.
Wow. Okay.
But immediately what I started to do was to build rapport with the police officer, matching mirroring physiology, matching voice tonality, matching his kind of like preferred representational system as we're having a chat. And obviously he wants to see my license and all those kind of things. And so he then said, say the speed you were driving is an instant ban. And he said, but, although you were breaking the speed limit, you were driving very safely, considering the condition of the roads, and also the car that you're driving is well capable of handling those kind of speeds. We don't really want to ban people from driving, so just make sure that you don't do it again.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
So I got back into the car. My friend said, so how fast were you going? I told him, and he goes, oh no. He goes, that's bad news. He said, so what happens now? I said, they let me off. He's like, what did you do? I said, well,
I just use NLP, right?
Just use some of the stuff that I know,
Well, I think that deserves.
I've told very much.
I think this deserves something noisy. So that you are.
That reminds me of the noise following me down the road.
Oh, you got PTSD. You got to use some NLP to get rid of that audio right now, isn't it?
Yeah, got to get rid of that negative anchor.
So is NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and we're going to talk about it later in a while about this and more. Is it actually still relevant nowadays? I mean, it has been developed in the 1970s. Is it relevant in many areas of our life?
Yeah, my feeling, my experience is that it is still relevant. Though over the last year or so, I've developed and released what I call NLP 2.0, because NLP was created in the early 70s, and we are in a different place today in 2021 than we were in the early 70s. So one of the things I thought was, I was hearing some things about NLP that I didn't like. People saying that there were certain people that NLP didn't work for, that everything was a model except science. Science was true. Everything was a model except medicine. Medicine was true. And these were not things that I personally agreed with. So I thought, well, rather than just complain and moan about it, I'll do something about it. So what I really kind of discovered was that the way that I was teaching NLP was quite different than the way the majority of trainers and master trainers was teaching NLP. And so I started to look at, well, how is it different? And I find that the what's called the presuppositions of NLP, the convenient beliefs of NLP that enable us to get results for ourselves and also when we're working with other people, needed a bit of an upgrade. So I created 12 new presuppositions of NLP 2.0 to bring it right up to date to 2021. I did actually launch a webinar on those presuppositions of NLP 2.0, which I'm sure what I can do is probably put a link to that webinar in the comments if any of the attendees would be interested in seeing those 12 new presuppositions of NLP.
Yes, and that gives me the idea as well that, hey, please, if you are listening to this right now, stay on till the end of the session because David is going to give you a download file of everything we are sharing with you as today as well. So you're learning more stuff. You get it as a little present if you are hanging on with us
Yeah.
till the end of the session. So I'm welcoming all the 40 participants here right now. Again, if you have questions, please, please, please give us a shout out or type in your questions. I asked you earlier as I promoted the session to write down the questions because I do know many of you have questions. So it's not just me. I am from NLP. I do know many of the questions. I hope at least. I believe I'll do. I'm pretty good in selling. I understand the psychology of how a person is going through. But those of you who don't know NLP or those of you who are just starting, getting into the journey of NLP, type in your questions and write down what are the questions you might have regarding selling. And let me ask you a question, David, right now to get started on the sales environment. Actually,
Hmm.
compared to before COVID and now, what has changed in the world of selling? Because everybody is going online right now. We are selling online, I think. But what is really the difference? The difference compared to before COVID and now with regard to selling?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing I noticed, obviously, as soon as COVID came out and the world started to go into lockdown, then from a sales point of view, everything went very, very quiet.
And we can relate to this one in Malaysia
Um,
as well. Of course,
yeah,
where businesses closed down, still closed down heavily overall. Yes.
yeah. So then, what we did was we invested quite heavily in technology, cameras, audio, lights, etc. Um, so that we could do this thing that a lot of people talk about, which is like pivoting to being online. And we started running online programs, which went very, very well, kept us going as a business. The big thing that I noticed, though, was that I got more private one-to-one clients over the last 12 months than I'd had over any previous 12 months. And those clients were not just UK based, they were internationally based. So in a way, what COVID did from that perspective was to increase our market to being more international than it previously had been. Plus, then what I'd also noticed is now we're getting a lot of interest in corporate NLP training, where we actually go into a company and we teach their employees how to use NLP in a particular context, whether it be presentation skills with our program Presenting Magically, whether it be sales skills with our program Selling Magically, whether it be around influence with our program Masters of Influence, and also some purely bespoke programs where a company came to us and said, this is one that I'm seeing quite a lot of at the moment, is doing NLP based leadership programs. So we've got a number of those coming along quite nicely at the moment, booked in for either later this year or for early 2022. So there seems to have been, and now we are able. I know you can't in Malaysia at the moment, but in the UK we are able now to begin running physical training. So we have our first NLP practitioner certification, 7-day NLP practitioner certification, starting on Saturday here in London, and numbers on the physical trainings are on the increase too. The thing I'm being told by people is that they're absolutely zoomed out, and so even if there is an online option, if they can actually attend physically, that's what they want to do. So I think a number of my clients that I've been working with have actually said that over this period of time of the pandemic, they've actually had one of their best years ever. And when I talk to them about that and what they put that down to, pretty unanimously they put it down to flexibility, being flexible in the way that they do business.
Okay, one person, Vimal, thank you so much for your question, or not question actually. You might want to go later on into the contents, into the comments, David. Connect with Vimal because he specifically asked for the NLP 2.0 presuppositions. And I think we've got even somebody from Afghanistan here. So it's a really awesome far reach what we have today. I don't know who that was anymore. The one person from Afghanistan, please type your name as well. I want to give you a personal shout out because it's really a huge distance. And let's get started really about the 3 questions Ty is already asking. And Ty is a good friend of mine who is very much specialized as a trainer in Microsoft Excel. So I hate Excel, sorry Ty.
Okay.
You do know that. But he asked, and he recently shared something on LinkedIn where he lost somebody. They communicated apparently on the phone, and that person was frightening, running away because saying like, she wanted advanced Excel skills, and he said like, you better start with basic based on what he understood from her. And then she said like, oh, basic, I can go YouTube, and you are too expensive, I can go somebody cheaper. So he is really hard at wanting to learn about the 3 NLP tips to increase conversion. What can he do?
Right.
A couple of questions here along that line.
Okay.
And if you need to get your white sheet, whatever, in the back, I'm putting you alone on the screen right now, so you can use your crafting skills to write it out.
Yeah. So if I first give you the overall big picture of the sales process that I use, then into the steps of the process, actually we can then plug in the appropriate NLP techniques, and then I can show you whereabouts in the process you would actually use these 3 questions to actually then more effectively sell your product, your services, etc.
Give me 1 second, David. So you are teaching now, so I put you alone. I'm be quiet, not asking any question. If you have questions, what David is teaching you or sharing with you right now, type it in the comment box. I'll share it with him at a later stage and ask him as well. So now it's over to him, only for a couple of minutes or whatever, however long you take. Doesn't really matter to me.
Okay, great stuff. So here's the overall sales process that I use with a client or prospective client. This will work face-to-face, it will work over the phone, and it will also work obviously over things like Skype, Zoom, etc. And the first step is that we build rapport with the prospect, which NLP gives us some very great techniques to do that will work face-to-face, equally virtually, and equally over the telephone. And this builds a state of relaxation, it builds a state of trust, it builds a state of openness. And this is really something that we can start doing even before the sales meeting has started. Then the second step is to ask questions. And this is where we put in these 3 questions that I'm talking about. We would actually ask those questions in step 2. So firstly, we'd find out what the client's needs and wants were. Then once we found out what their needs and wants were, then we'll ask these 3 more questions, which we're going to come on to in a moment. So this is where we gather the information. We're not actually going to use the information until we get to step 4. So then in step 3, we confirm need, and value. And if I can get that value in monetary terms, so here it would be in pounds, in Europe it would be in euros, in the US,
Malaysia, it's
dollars.
ringgit.
I think, and is that RM?
RM, yes.
Is that the symbol for it? RM, yeah. Let me give you an example of that. So I'm talking to the group sales director of an international insurance company about increasing their sales. And they get all of their sales by doing something which over here we call a beauty parade, whereas all of the companies that they've approached come along and do what you might call a pitch. And the person who does the winning pitch gets the business. So I said to the group sales director, and I won't mention the name of the company because this is obviously confidential information. I said, and what is your success rate in doing pitches and doing beauty parades? And he rather embarrassingly said 20%. And I said to him, so how much do you spend, or how much do you invest in putting together one of your pitches? And he said, on average, around about £40,000. So now I've got the situation here that if I can demonstrate to him that we can just get one more win, that's going to be worth £40,000 to him, because if they do a pitch and they don't win it, they've lost £40,000. So now we know just in getting one more win, there's £40,000 riding on that. Now, step 4 is where we link our product or service to need and value. And that's where we use the information that we've gathered here. Then step 5 is we close. If we get a yes, then we take the money. If we get a no, then we handle the objection.
And we all clarify this a little bit more detailed, right?
Yeah. So, and please write this down, but as Andreas says, what we've got is a cheat sheet which has got all of this on it, and with significantly more detail for each step, which you can download as a PDF. It's my earphone dropped out again.
This is what you will get in a moment at a later stage from David. I'm just showing it to them as well before I put back to you. As David is,
I am still here. It's my earphones
here.
dropped
Okay,
out.
I just showed what they're getting ultimately. You can take a screenshot of this one already as well, but you get it as a download as well. I have it here on the screen right now, David.
Yes. Yeah, I've got it as a PDF. So it's this entire process with each of the steps in more detail. Yeah. So this is how we create a values rather than a value-based sales process. Because here in step 2, we want to find out.
You guys take a screenshot when you see something you like very much. Also take a screenshot. It's always very useful along that line. Okay, continue, David.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is, once we've found out what their particular need or want is, and so then what we want to find out is, what are their values for that particular need, or want. And our values are what create motivation. And also our values determine which, if we were just talking about a car, for instance, then the car that we actually decide to buy is the car that we perceive satisfies our values for a car more than any of the other cars. So these are really important in sales. So the first question that we ask is...
This is a very, very important statement David was just giving us here.
What's important to you?
And ladies and gentlemen, as David writes this down, that could be the most important question already that you want to write down. What's important to you about ... It's a value. So
yeah, what's important to you? What's important to you about Excel training for tires as an example? And what we want to get is we want to get 3 or 4 answers.
Answers or statements, right?
Yeah, 3 or 4 values from that question. Then what we do is we put them into an order of importance. Or we ask the client to put them into an order of importance, because the values don't necessarily come out in the order of importance. So we've got our 3 or 4 values. Then we show the values to the client and we say which one of these 3 or 4 values is most important to you. Then what's next most important? What's next most important? What's next most important? Now here is the real key piece, because this is question number 1. What's important to you about? And then questions 2 and 3, for each of these values, we ask why is value important to you?
Can I interrupt you for a moment, David, and ask a question?
Sure. Yeah.
So you are basically saying that for each of those values, your first step is basically what's important to you about buying an insurance policy, or what's important to you about buying a car,
Yep.
or what's important to you about the Excel training that you are planning to do. They're giving you 3 or 4 values, might be a statement overall, so you're organizing those, and then you're asking for each of their values, and could be more than 4 or 5 maybe, but let's say for the first 2, 3, 4 values we do that, why is it important to you? Now, isn't it, many people say, and I heard that as well I heard that as well, that if you ask why too often, it becomes abrasive or confrontative. I do know the power of why, but some people might believe asking why is wrong because it's like too much in the face of somebody. I see. Here we go. Okay.
We've got our rapport right at the start, so they're quite comfortable answering the questions openly.
And we might ask for permission, right?
Yeah, I mean, right at the start, we can talk about this in more detail. Is around about here, I quite often set up a frame with the prospective client, which is, from time to time, you may think that I'm asking a lot of questions, or you may think I'm asking unusual questions. And the reason why I ask those questions is because that's the only way that I know how to create for you the value and service which is important to us.
Stop right here.
Is that okay with you?
Is that okay with you? And is that okay if stop right here? David, you were giving a diamond here right now. You gave something absolutely important. Guys, if you haven't picked that up, you gotta listen to that one statement again. That is one of the most crucial parts in any sales process, to ask for permission, to ask all kinds of questions, weird questions, good questions, great questions, and then you have the door open to a wonderful sales approach with a client.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they go, wow, David's asking a lot of questions, or Andreas is asking some unusual questions, the thing that pops up into their mind is value and service. So suddenly it becomes totally okay for you to ask all these questions, some of which may be unusual, like these. Now, the thing here is, when we ask the question, why is value important to you, you'll get some answers which are away from, as in the value is important because it enables them to avoid things that they don't want. And there'll be some answers which are towards what they do want. So avoiding pain, gaining pleasure. Yeah.
Pain and gain proper.
Now,
yep.
Yeah, so if you looked at it as an example, let's say that one of their values that came out was money. And I say, so why is money important to you? And they go, because I don't want to go bankrupt. That's an away from. Or why is money important to you? Because we want the biggest profit that we've ever had in the company's history. That's a towards. Yeah. Now, in step 2, all we're doing is asking the questions and making a note of the answers, because we don't use the answers until step 4. Okay. So when we get to step 4,
you collect this all right now. So basically, what's important to you? Why? Then we get the away from, then
Yep.
the toward. Do is pain or gain, pleasure or pain overall, and then now we get to step 4, right?
Yes, which might be in a separate meeting. I mean, it could be in the same meeting, or it might be in a meeting a week or so later. Yeah, it doesn't need to be used immediately. And the way that I then build this up is, let's say that we're going to do a PowerPoint presentation for them. As to step 4, which is, for want of a better word, is our pitch for our product or service. And let's say they've got, we pulled out 3 values. So I'll create a slide for each of the 3 values in the order of their importance.
Wow.
So the title of the slide, first slide, will be value 1. Then on the slide, I then put bullet points. Away 1. Away 2. Towards 1. Towards 2. And that will fire off. Oops.
David, as you're falling down there, teacher Keen asks in between question 2 and question 3 are the same question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so hot in here with the lights. These are getting a little bit, they're slipping out my ears.
As long as the ears stay attached, is also okay still.
So this links our product and service directly to their values, and then we demonstrate how our product or service will enable them to avoid the things that they don't want, and enable them to get the things that they do want. And this works so well had one of my one-to-one mentoring clients who's he's a real IT techie. He's into like the very, very leading edge kind of artificial intelligence kind of things in the finance world. And he was approached by a major bank to work on a project for them. But he said, I'm a techie. I don't do selling. How can I sell this to them? So I said, okay, look, this is what you do. You ask the head of the program, so what's important to you about the program? Get 3 or 4 values, put them in order of importance. Then why is each of those values important to you? And why else is that important to you? So you ask that question twice. Then he came away from that meeting with the information, because then he was going to do a presentation to them the week later. So I met with him again, and he'd got a presentation already in PowerPoint. We added 3 more slides because the client had got three values, and we put these as bullet points that came out one at a time. Away from's first, and then towards. There's a reason why I do it in that order. Away froms feel bad, and they leave the person focusing on what they don't want. Whereas towards feels good, leaves the person focusing on what they want. So we use the away froms to kind of like get traction, and then we use the towards to gain momentum. And that builds through, in this situation, the 3 slides. When my client had got to the end of the first slide, the prospective client slammed his fist down on the table, said, "You are the only people that we are talking to that seem to actually understand what we want. I want you to pause for a second whilst I bring the rest of my team in to see the rest of your presentation."
Wow.
And literally the guy was bouncing up and down in his chair. And my client phoned me afterwards. This is my client's words, but I will use my client's words, even though he was swearing a little bit, because I think it conveys the emotion. Because I phoned him up, I said, "How did it go?" And he goes, "That was fucking magic."
Oops, okay.
Because the guy was just like bouncing up and down and like, yeah, this is it. So it works very, very, very powerfully. Works very powerfully. So that's how you double your sales, by asking 3 more questions, because these are questions that most people don't ask.
They are scared. They don't
the
know
most
it.
important questions.
Exactly. Or when they ask the questions, and that's coming from the NLP world, of course, we understand the power of those questions. And when we are asking those questions, what do they elicit from the side of the client? But even if I'm asking even normal person, I don't want to belittle here anybody. If a normal person asks, "So what's important to you," or "Why is that important to you?" they don't know exactly, or they don't have the knowledge of the power of the answer they get from the answer of the client. This like the client is sitting on your hand, is melting away in emotions, basically, because values are very closely linked to the emotional states, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been demonstrated by the study of neuroscience that when people are put in a situation of making a decision, they make a decision based on emotions. But quite often they make the decision on emotions outside of their conscious awareness.
Exactly.
So, it's been demonstrated that people buy on emotion unconsciously, and then post-rationalize afterwards as to why their decision was logical, rational, and sensible.
And what do we usually do? We are coming in a meeting, and we're giving all the facts and numbers and data and statistics and supportive the features of our product. Sometimes we're telling them what can they achieve, but we don't even know if what they can achieve comes from our own inner world, right? Like, Tai, for you right now, you might go to your client and say, "Hey, if you use Excel spreadsheets, more efficiently, you have less mistakes in your accounting or what. I'm just trying to make that up, Ty. But that comes from your world. You don't even know, if you don't ask your client, why is an NLP training here? why is an Excel training important to you? You might get to something totally different, to save a ton of money, for example, or to avoid the wastage in an organization, or to avoid people getting frustrated. Right?
Yeah, I mean, because what a lot of people do is that they assume that everybody else's values are the same as theirs.
Exactly. Because we have the same
And they're
values, we
not.
don't know people are different.
And then we get it wrong, we mismatch it. I mean, I've got a personal story about that, which happened to me before I knew about NLPs, when I worked in IT, because my background is in electronics and software development. And I was working for a company in London called Reuters, and I got a member of my team who I could tell was definitely not motivated. He wasn't happy. He was showing up late. He was taking too long for lunch. He was leaving bang on time. So, as his manager, I got to the point where I needed to have the conversation with him. But also I got thinking, but my hands are tied. I can't offer him more money. But in the end, it was time for me to have that uncomfortable conversation with him. And I did have that conversation with him. And I said, look, I can tell you're not happy. I can tell you're unmotivated. And though I can't pay you any more money. And he said to me, but I don't want more money. So I'm going, okay, so what do you want? He said, I want to be a manager. And I said, well, I don't have anybody for you to manage. He says, oh, I don't want to manage anybody. And I'm going like, what? And I said, so what? He said, I just want the title manager. So I said, okay, so if I gave you the title Reuters Intelligent Workstation Relational Database Manager, and he lit up like crazy. And he goes, that would be great. So, we had our own printing department at Reuters. So the next day when he came in the morning, there was a set of business cards with his name on them saying Reuters Intelligent Workstation Relational Database Manager. And he arrives early, takes short lunches, stays late. Because I didn't know about values when I worked for Reuters in the late 80s. But then when I learned about values, I then went like, now I know what was happening in that situation. He didn't have a value of money. He had a value of kind of like recognition or something like that.
Yeah. David, we have great number of people. Nobody leaves right now, so I really, really, really appreciate everybody who is still here with us. Some people come in, come out, but many people are really here. I'm hanging on your lips because it's really, really great stuff. So I would like to. You can add on some more stuff to this one if you want. We have to talk a little bit about objections as well. You've mentioned before.
Okay.
To talk about objections, Teacher Keen, he's a parenting teacher. Yes. He's also asking questions a little bit aside of what we wanted to talk about today, but maybe we've got the time along as well, which many people have as well in the sales environment.
Sure.
How do we overcome the fear of rejection and procrastination to begin reaching out to prospects? So at a later stage or now, whenever you have some time, feel free to answer that question as well.
I can answer that one now because I think it's an important one. One is, if you personally value what you offer, then not telling other people about what you do is depriving them of the value that they could get. So by not prospecting them, you're actually denying them the opportunity of getting the value that you can offer. But when you offer something to people that is really genuinely valuable, they love you for it. So, also when you're prospecting the person, maybe on the phone, building rapport with them. See, here was the thing that I used to hate. I would be cold calling prospects, and some of those prospects would say pretty horrible things to me. And that would pretty much make it, that was the last call I was going to do that day.
Are we going to curse again?
Because I didn't want somebody else to be horrible to me, But then when I learned about rapport, I built rapport with people on the phone, then even when they said no nicely, which, meant that I could maintain my emotional state, which was a big thing for me. So it just meant that I did more prospecting calls, which meant I got more meetings, which ultimately meant that I made more money. Then, this is another thing that I hear from a lot of salespeople. Let's just have a look at these here. These kind of questions that we talked about. I have some salespeople.
You're breaking up, David. You're breaking up. David, can you hear me? You're breaking up. I can't hear you anymore. I hope it's not because your battery is empty of your earphones. I can't hear you anymore. You are right now. I got to put you back on. You are right now. I can't hear you. You are offline. Right now, I can't hear you. I think you got to get your normal speakers on. You got to get your normal speakers on. The one you showed me yesterday, you didn't want to have on. They want to come on. They want to come online. I think you got to. You can hear me still, right? I can't hear you right now. You're offline. We always have that situation every week, at least one, every time at least once. Something goes haywire. This time the speakers are off. You might want to click off and come back in again. You know the link, David. It's also possible that this is a possibility. I don't think so. I can't hear you. Nothing here right now. Nothing here right now. Nothing here right now. Please stay online, ladies and gentlemen. David is definitely coming back in a moment. Maybe you take your normal earphones, the big ones. He can still hear me, so something might still be here. Pauline is asking, some of us have limiting beliefs about attracting ideal clients, closing a case. I can't hear you, David. Pauline, we are getting to your questions in a moment. You're still offline. You're still offline. Maybe you want to get out and get in again of the room. I could kick you out for a moment and then let you come back in again. Then you might. Yes, dear Renee, we must believe. Okay, David has just gone out for a moment. He will be back in just a second. Let me see how that goes. The phone will ring in a moment, or the thing will ring. And I do know that he will be back in just a moment. Every time we have an interview, stuff is happening. Yes, Pauline, Renee, you must believe that we bring value to people. If you don't believe in yourself, if I as a trainer or a coach, I say I do coaching, okay, here's David back again. Let me bring him in again. David, let's say something. Can I hear you?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now again. Okay, I'll bring you back on stage.
All right.
I can hear you. Hold on. Yes, can you hear me, hopefully? Hold on.
I can hear you yes. Perfectly well, yes. Okay. We're back.
Yeah.
So here was the other thing around that question that I get from a lot of salespeople is they go, I can't ask my prospects these questions because if I ask them these questions, I'll lose the sale. Well, to which I say to them, well, you don't have the sale. Because until you've got the money or a contract, you don't have the sale to lose. So in actual fact, you've got nothing to lose until you have the sale.
Whoa. Yeah. That is powerful. We've got another question from the audience if you want to answer this.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting good. You still have time, David, right? Because I do know we are an hour in the session right now. Okay. Pauline is asking, and Pauline is in financial advisory. So she's advising people about investment strategies and all that stuff. And she says, some
Yeah.
of us may have some limiting beliefs about attracting ideal clients, closing a case, etc. What can we do to overcome these challenges to achieve our breakthroughs? I do know it's going a little bit away from questioning and strategies overall. It's getting about the mindset area, but I think if you got the time, why not answering that?
Yeah, I think the mindset area is very important, because no matter how many skills we've got, if our mindset's not right, the skills aren't going to work. So the key thing for me, when I first started out, was selling NLP training. When I needed to bring money in, I went, okay, so what kind of companies have money, are willing to invest it in training, and always want to be on the kind of like the leading edge of sales technology.
Wow. Okay.
And interestingly, the answer that popped into my mind in the early 90s was life insurance sales. Because they had lots of salespeople who were on commission only, and basically the companies wanted those salespeople to sell more so that they could, get more sales. Plus, also, the salespeople were motivated to sell more too. So they were the people that I approached. They were the people that I prospected, and it was very, very, very successful. So I think the important thing in that process is looking at what you are offering, going, who has the maximum value for what I'm offering, and who are those kind of people and where do they hang out? So that then we can prospect those people that immediately go, there's value in that for me. Yes, I'll have a meeting with you.
So it's not necessarily, I do know, and I might be a little bit not necessarily identifying exactly who's your ideal customer client, but really how do you think about those people? Do you sit down and really draft it out? Who's your ideal customer?
I did with that situation. This is in the old days before the internet. So I went life insurance companies, or financial consultants, personal financial consultants as they might be called today. And I got out the yellow pages for the area that I was living in. And there were around about just over 100 companies in the yellow pages. So I called them all, and asked to speak to the manager, the branch manager, whatever. Said, have you heard of NLP? This can enable your salespeople to immediately build more rapport. And as we know, people buy from people they have the most rapport with. Would you like me to come in and teach your salespeople how to do that?
Straight to the point.
I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to charge you for it. But I would like to then be able to pitch them for more business. Another question that I used to get coming back from that is, could you also teach my salespeople to do what you're doing with me, as in cold call me? Because they don't do it. And the number of jobs I got offered, because they're kind of like, do you want to come and sell for us? And I went like, no, I love what I do. Thank you.
Amazing.
But thanks for the offer. So I think that's, but that I would say, if people have got limiting beliefs, if people have got fears, then the absolute best way of getting rid of those is to get with somebody who does timeline therapy.
Yep. I'm a strong believer in timeline therapy, because as best tool to let go of negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and it's just all that rubbish
Absolutely.
from the past inside of us, letting it go, feel free, free your mind, take back your life, take back your power. That's what I believe overall. Everybody is happy you are back. Yay. People are saying like, yay, he's back. David is back. Great. You are back. They really enjoy it. Now, let me just check out if there's anybody else got a question along that line. Not that many questions. They are all impressed with what you are saying. Good. Yes. Do you want to share something about objections mastery? Because you mentioned as well, like, exactly. How do you get rid of objections even before they come up? And I'm really curious as well, and I believe everybody is curious as well. So if you are curious about objection mastery, we are right now at 40 people. So if you are curious about objections, shall we continue? Please type in objections mastery. Then we continue. All right. So if you like that, type in objections mastery. I want to see that you really want to learn some more. Otherwise, I do know what David is talking about. If you don't want to hear anymore, fine by me, away from motivation. If you want to stay on and learn some more, type in objection mastery along that line. Do you enjoy it so far, David?
Yes, loving it.
Yes, it's nice, isn't it? I love these Facebook sessions, the LinkedIn sessions overall. Okay, we are back to 41. So I think you can just continue overall.
Okay. So, there are only 4 objections. Number 1 is money. As in, it's too expensive or I don't have the money. 2 is time. I don't have the time or it's the wrong time. 3 is I don't believe you.
That's a good one.
4 is it won't work for me. As in, I could see how it would work for everybody else, but I'm special. So it won't work for me. So if we've got a means of dealing with those 4 objections, then if they come up, we've already prepared to deal with them. But we could get rid of them before they come up. I can give you a quick demonstration of how somebody I'm sure you've heard of actually does this very elegantly from the stage, because this is the way that, see, if you're selling one on many, like Tony Robbins does. So, you know, when he did his Unleash the Power Within weekend here in London, or actually he was in Birmingham a couple of years ago before the pandemic, he had 12,000 people in the room and he wants to sell another program to them. Well, how are you going to deal with objections coming from 12,000 people? So what you do, again, just like that thing I said to you say right at the start of the meeting, to pre-frame, you asking a lot of questions to pre-frame unusual questions. We can do the same thing with objections. And this is the way that Tony Robbins deals with it. So what he says to the audience, how many people here are totally committed to their personal growth and development? Say aye. Now, of course, everybody is going to say that they're committed to their own personal growth and development. So then Tony says, so this is exactly the reason why I like working with people like us, people who are committed to their own personal growth and development. Because when people like us are offered an opportunity to grow personally, to develop personally, we know it's a great investment. It's probably one of the best investments ever is an investment in your own personal growth and development. So people like us would never say it's too expensive or I don't have the money. Equally, people who are committed to their own personal growth and development want to grow and develop now. They're not going to say, it's not the right time for me. I think I'll personally grow and develop next year. They want it now. Yep. And they'll make the time because they know, again, it's a fantastic investment in time. But equally, people who are committed to their own personal growth and development know that the results they get, they create for themselves. So they'd never say, I don't believe you, because they know that if they said that, what they're really saying is, I don't believe in myself. And again, because we know that we create the results for ourselves in personal growth and development because nobody else can do it for us, we would never say it wouldn't work for me, because we know that ultimately if we say that, what we're saying is, I can't make it work for myself. That's why I love working with people who are totally committed to their own personal growth and development. Say I. And that's how we pre-frame out the 4 major objections.
That was massive. That was basically Barack Obama was saying in one of his elections along that line in 2008. People who love this country will change it or believes in change overall. And if you're in America,
Yes.
you will never say, I don't love this country, I don't want to change overall, because then you are getting thrown into the ocean overall, okay? So it's really this major big pre-frame overall to identify, yes, people say that's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Teacher Keen. I think you all should listen to this again, write it down word for word, practice it. Pauline is saying, awesome. Hey, if you like what you are hearing right now, please, 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 if you're learning something or if you like what you're hearing right now, give us some feedback, because that's really, really awesome stuff. And I do know, and I don't want to hear how much you judge, but I do know people are getting into your seminars to learn what you are sharing with us here in 1 hour. And most likely you're doing it a bit longer in your seminars overall, but this, what you are sharing with us, is worth quite a lot of money, more than a nasi lemak, more than satay, which is Malaysian food overall. It's like plenty of money that you are providing us here, plenty of value, and I really, really appreciate it. And Angela is saying I do intend to watch it again, definitely. Angela is living in the UK, so I'm more than happy. Connect with David. She's organizing the NLP conference next year, where I'm really, really, really proud to be one of the speakers along that line. So Angela, if you got a spot for David, maybe you grab him in. I don't know, he's extremely busy.
Definitely.
I had a hard time to get him in overall. So, David, what else can you share with us? I know it's over 1 hour already. We are 36 people still hanging on to us. Anything else that you want to share with us here right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, there's a couple of things, because I know that when we originally chatted, Andreas, you were saying about people not getting the kind of money that they're worth.
Oh, yes. We are. Okay, let me interrupt you to set a frame here. I do know that in many industries here in Malaysia, maybe globally, I do know trainers, coaches, they are in a price war, the race to the bottom. So how do we maintain our price level up? So I'm not a person who's reducing my price because of something, but I lost deals because people say like, hey, you are too expensive overall. So how do we avoid that price war instead of having our own inner value?
Yeah, I think nobody will ever pay you more than you believe that you're worth.
That's a value bump.
So nobody's ever going to pay you $1 million if you don't feel that you're worth $1 million. Because you project out unconsciously your value. So it's really important that that you value yourself. And I think one of the biggest problems in the market of trainers consultants, coaches, therapists, is that in general, they don't charge enough.
Oh, yes.
And when they don't charge enough, then basically people don't take you seriously. I had this experience very early on.
Hold on, David. If you don't charge enough, people don't take you serious. What do you mean by that?
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'll tell you, I had this experience. I'd gone into do a one-day NLP and sales training for a particular life insurance office. And this particular life insurance office had their top salespeople. These are people that in the, say, would it be mid-90s, early to mid-90s, were on making a personal income of at least £250,000 per year. And their branch manager, senior branch manager, asked me if I would go in and do a training for them. And a one-day training, and he asked me, I said yes, and he asked me how much I would charge, and I think at that point in time I was charging around about £2,000 a day, and so I delivered the training. This was the training where the salesperson who's in the Guinness Book of Records actually asked me if he could attend the training, and I was just starting out, you know. And so we'd finished the training, and the branch manager, the guy who hired me, basically said, you know, did I want to have a glass of wine with him after the program? And so I said, yeah, that'd be very nice, thank you. So we're having a glass of wine, and he says, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about your fee. And this was in the days before I took the fees up front. And I said, okay. He said, yeah, I didn't tell you, but I spoke to 3 other NLP trainers about coming and doing the program for me. And I went, okay. And he said, and the nearest one to you from a price point of view was charging half as much as you.
Wow.
The other 2 were charging even less. So the nearest one was £1,000 for the day. The other ones were charging less than that. So I'm going like, okay. He said, that's why you gave me no choice but to hire you. Because he said,
because you were more
because you obviously took yourself so seriously, I had to take you seriously too.
That would be my dream client. Wow. That's an amazing story.
Yeah, and I already went like, whoa, okay. And then I put my rates up.
On the spot.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, look at it this way as well.
Hold on, let me put you back on.
So that insurance company that said they were spending £40,000 on putting together a pitch, of which 4 out of those 5 pitches they lost. I said to the group sales director, and you've got to be with the right person for this to work. I said to him, so if I come and do a training and you just get one more pitch that works, and I charge you £40,000 for that training, I'll be free. Because he hasn't wasted £40,000 on that presentation, but he's given it to me, therefore it's zero. It's zero balance. So if you're with the right person, they begrudgingly have to agree with that particular fact. So then I go, okay, but it's okay, because I'm not going to charge you £40,000. I'm only going to charge you 25. So you're in profit right at the start.
Wow.
Now, if you set up that value frame, How can they say you're too expensive?
Yeah.
Because I'm offering at least £40,000 of value for £25,000 investment. How can they possibly say, okay, that's a great idea, I think we'll do it next year? Because they're going to want it now. But also, by being that way with a group sales director, there's no way you can say, I don't believe you, or it won't work for me. So when you set up that contrast frame, it blows out all those objections.
In one spot. That's amazing. Yep. Do you have time for one more question, or you want to wrap up?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Let's do one more question.
Let's say we are when we are hitting below 30 now, 31 people. It's getting to 10 o'clock in Malaysia, so I'm getting careful. According to time here as well. If you're getting below 30, then we are starting to wrap up. So guys, if you want to stay on, you better invite your friends to get the numbers back up here again. Okay. Nixon is asking, how do we fast track rapport? Say in 10 minutes time. I think 10 minutes is an incredibly long time to build rapport. What would be the good structure to hit it on the nail?
Yeah, I would say two key things. Well, the number one thing, if you've got the concept of matching and mirroring the person's physiology to get rapport, and what we're doing by doing that is we're unconsciously communicating to them, hey, I'm like you, therefore you can like me. The one thing out of their physiology that will get you rapport more quickly than anything else is matching the person's breathing.
Without staring at their chest, right?
Yes, but equally, if you're having a conversation, when the other person's speaking, they're breathing out.
That's a magic
So you
trick.
breathe out whilst they're speaking, yeah? Then when they pause, they're breathing in. So you breathe in when they pause, breathe out when they're speaking, and by doing that, automatically, you'll be matching their breathing perfectly.
Wow, that's another value bomb. And Renee is just saying the deep insights she's got, don't tell the client why they need your service or product. Ask him what is important to them and why. Exactly like this one along that line. So,
absolutely.
Would you like to talk a little bit about your brochure, your present that you want to give them?
Yes.
I'm putting it on screen. I'm putting it on screen.
Are you going to put it anyway? Yeah. Okay.
I'm having it on screen right now.
So, yes, great. So what I've got is a single page expert cheat sheet. We're putting these together for a number of different programs, but this one is on our program Selling Magically. It has the 5-step sales process on it that I've gone through for you, but also it has other things on here that we haven't had time to talk about during our session. So not only have you got everything that we've covered in the session on a single piece of paper, then also it's got additional things on there from an NLP in sales perspective. Please, feel free to share that cheat sheet with people that aren't here, friends, colleagues, etc. And there's a link at the bottom of the cheat sheet which will enable you to go to a supporting video. It's a 30-minute video where I go through the process in quite a bit of detail. And there's a link at the bottom there to actually enable you to get that supporting video, which will actually explain how to use the cheat sheet.
Good stuff.
The actual cheat sheet is in the comments. Then if you click on the link there, it'll take you to a landing page, put your email address in, and then you'll get access to the video. And also what I'll do is a little bit later today, I will put in a link to the NLP 2.0 webinar that I put together a couple of months ago.
Is it easier to reach you via Facebook or via LinkedIn as well? Just in case somebody wants to reach out to you, are you open to that idea?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Either LinkedIn or Facebook. or if you wanted to contact me by email,
I don't want to. I don't
then
want to do. If you say the email now, somebody might pick it up, and then you get hundreds of spam messages, maybe along that line.
Yeah, I do
those
anyway.
Of you,
but
those of you, exactly, but those of you who are really willing to learn more, feel free to send a personal message to David, because it's an energy exchange as well. At least they take some action, not you taking some action along as well. There's one more question. I'm not sure if you want to ask one more question, which comes from the NLP background, basically speaking. And you're an NLP master trainer, so you might want to answer this question if you want. From Elchan, he's asking basically NLP semantics. What's the extra ingredient different compared to normal NLP training? Oh, Rajuna was putting thank you, Rajuna. You put David's link to the video actually in the comments. You're awesome, Rajuna. It was wonderful. But did you get the question I just mentioned?
Yes. So one of the bits of NLP that's always been my favorite bit of NLP is the linguistics part. And because of the fact, here was what I started experiencing. People who come and do my practitioner training, they come back and do the master practitioner training, and they would say, David, I really love NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis. I believe in it. I've had the most amazing experiences myself, but the environment that I work in, I can't use formal NLP techniques. I can't do a swish pattern, put a picture on the screen, have another picture, small dot, and bump left-hand corner. When I go, but only when I go, what I want you to do is have that first picture explode big and bright over the second picture as the second picture shrinks down to a small dot. So I can't do that. I can't say to somebody, okay, find your timeline and float way up in the air, because they would think I was crazy, or think I was even crazier than they do. So what I did in the mid-90s is I created a project for myself, which I did in conjunction with a student of mine who was working at the time with BP Exploration, to create linguistic techniques, conversational techniques that would enable us to get the same results as we get from formal NLP, formal timeline therapy, formal hypnotherapy. And we tested all of these techniques within his department in BP Exploration. And what he confirmed was that, yes, they work. And that led me to create a program, which is really, I think, the most inclusive program on neuro-linguistics, the linguistic part of NLP, and I call the program Conversational Change. So that's really going beyond the regular NLP model, looking at some of the Erickson's linguistic processes that aren't in the Milton model. And a number of other things too.
But I think Al was also mentioning NSNLP, neurosemantics, compared to NLP.
Right. When I've looked at it, I haven't done formal training in neurosemantics, but I couldn't see anything really additional in there than was in what I was taught in 1993 as NLP. So I think to a certain extent what's happened in NLP is that people have changed the name as a branding exercise.
That's what I somehow believe as well along that line. Hey guys, if you liked what you heard, then why don't you give result? I hope you will learn, you will rewatch or watch the replay of that session. I think it was awesome. If you learned something from that session here, please give David a great, lots of likes overall. That would be really, really wonderful. I enjoyed the session. I want to share some stuff with you. David, stay on. I want to talk a little bit with you after that session. I want to talk to you guys, basically
Okay.
give you a present as well along that line. And I want to talk about the next show coming up, and it is because we've got another show lined up in the end of October. Because as you do know, every month I have one great speaker, and I hope that we can continue doing this, that people are open to having these interviews, that you all come back and learn tons of stuff, because I learned as well. And I'm really happy to have had the chance to talk to you, David. Maybe have another session, because I do know when I was talking to David, tried to reach him, he said to me I realize he's one of the most focused person, single-minded, focused on one goal, no distraction whatsoever. And I do know that's a big issue in today's world. We have hundreds of tabs open in our laptop. We are distracted constantly. How do you manage your mind to stay focused? Maybe we do another session on this one.
Could do.
That would be a good thing as well, isn't it? For those of you, and I hope you can see this, and I hope it comes up, I'm going to show you a QR code right now. Please take a screenshot of this one. Last time it didn't quite show up, last month. It's a survey about learning NLP, how much you learn, how much you do know. I would like to know a little bit more. Yes, on my second laptop, it comes up. Take a screenshot of this one. I would be really, really curious about this one. There's also a present from my side, a free online course on how to attract success into your life. And then take a screenshot of this one or watch the replay to get that done. And the next show that we do have is another teacher of mine, is Shelley Rose Charvet. Oh no, I deleted one name. It's Shelley Rose Charvet. I can't show her that slide from Success Strategies. She's an expert on influencing and persuasion. And hey, we are talking about a really awesome topic as well, which is 10 fundamental differences between men and women and why they matter. 10 fundamental differences between men and women and why do they matter. And when is that show? Oh my goodness, because I just created that slide before we started. It's on the 28th of October. David, I'm inviting you as well. Maybe we can have a three-way conversation along that line. Maybe we should do more NLP trainers
available.
Coming in.
I said, I'll see if I'm available.
Let's talk about this one. Would be good to have a session with more NLP trainers to talk a really big topic along that line. That would be awesome. Yes. And Shelley Rose Charvet, it's retype it, Angela. It's one S only, but at least you got the Charvet in the end. Okay. She is awesome. She's funny. She is one of the most natural persons. She has great stories to share. Wonderful. She hates me when I say that she's tiny. She's about up to my shoulder, but she's really a powerhouse in linguistics, all right? So until I hear from you again, okay, Angela is typing in as well, in case it was not mentioned yet, LinkedIn, NLP, David Shephard. Yes, I didn't put you in LinkedIn because I do know you're more available actually in Facebook, I think, David. But Angela was so nice to put you into LinkedIn as well, so you get a lot of connection requests as well. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here with me today. Let me see if I have anything else to say. Yes, please, if you could also connect with me if you are not yet connected with me about the different social media channels, from Facebook to YouTube to Instagram, which I have reduced a little bit. I am not yet in TikTok. I'm not dancing yet, but I'm exploring it. It's also amazing along that line. And okay, until then, thank you very much and bye-bye and good night.